with a record of 25-3.
Hello everyone, welcome to our second match of the day here, the KHSAA Semi-State Finals from George Rogers Clark High School. I am Clay Abels. Alongside me, we have the coach of Dunbar with us, Ms. Jennifer Morgan. Just finished up a while ago our first matchup of the day. Mercy with the victory in 3 sets, prevailing to the state finals. We'll see them tonight at 7:30. They took down Henry Clay. Now we have Notre Dame Academy facing off against West Jessamine in the second semi-state matchup of the day here on the NFHS Network. KHSA volleyballs are about to get underway. West Jessamine to serve. Interesting matchup here. We got a lot to talk about between these two teams. Certainly a matchup that a lot of people didn't expect. Yeah, I think you're going to see West Jessamine's going to have to come out, aggressive from the beginning because Notre Dame's got a little bit more height from him and a little bit more depth at the net. We see Notre Dame right off the bat with the score. Notre Dame coming in off the sweep yesterday, 3-0 over McCracken. And you look coming into this tournament, Assumption of Mercy, generally the clear favorites from most people's opinions. They had the quarterfinal matchup with Mercy prevailing, but Notre Dame right there at the 3 spot, a perfect position for them to be in as the underdog, as we see a nice ball dropped off inside there for the score. Emily Krentz has the finish, and she'll be up to serve for the Colts. And she's coming off of a great match yesterday. She led the team, very solid match yesterday. And West Jessamine only has, I think, 1 senior rostered, so they're really young with a really bright future. On the roll, finish home for Notre Dame. That will be Sydney Nolan on the finish. 2-1 early on here for the Pandas as we look at the early start of this game. As we said, Notre Dame coming in with the sweep against McCracken. West Jessamine, on the other hand, a 3-0 win over Russell. As Notre Dame looks to work it down the left line, to the back row they go. And it's going to go out of bounds, sent a little bit too deep by Anna Long, but that is a name to keep in mind tonight, Coach. She is going to have a consistent impact on this game, dominating the state of Kentucky this year, one of the best attackers inside the state. Absolutely. She is a senior committed to go play beach at Florida State, so she is definitely one of those names that you're going to continue to hear today. And, and if Notre Dame pulls this one out today, that you'll continue to hear this evening as well. See some substitutions coming in for Notre Dame. Molly McDermott, the head coach, on the sidelines. For Notre Dame, former player, co-captain on the '89 state championship team. This is a rich history of success and tradition at Notre Dame, and they're always in the running for a state championship. They have not won one since 1994, but have been down State Road quite a many times, as here they are again today in the Final Four. Battle for the ball, goes down the left row, and swung home. West Jessamine making a statement early on. Gadovka with the finish, flushing it home. 14 kills yesterday in that win over Russell. She is certainly a power player. Absolutely. She is the senior leader of this team, and West Jessamine is scrappy, and they're going to keep balls alive, and that's just what you saw right there. And they're definitely the underdog story coming into this one, as we mentioned. Notre Dame, obviously the traditional team that has had a ton of success. West Jessamine coming in, younger squad that has really dealt with some incredible difficulties and made their way here into the semi-state matchup. We'll get into it a little bit later, but this is a team that had to win with their JV roster to get through districts. Yeah. I mean, that's just incredible. Yeah, Notre Dame went into COVID quarantine right before districts, so their JV had to go into districts, ended up winning the districts, and then the varsity was able to compete in region, and here they are in the semis of state. Riding the momentum again, Gadovka with the block and the score. It's now 4-3 West Jessamine early on. They allowed some fans and students in here today. We got a good group coming from West Jessamine. Strong support as we see a strong kill skying up there was Anna Long for the finish. We'll see now Notre Dame set to serve. Pandas looking for an early ace. Work it up to the front row. Blocked out of bounds and point for the Pandas. And Emily Bentley, a name to keep an eye on. She's on serve and also an assister. She is second in Kentucky in assists. Tremendous job dealing the ball around and has some pretty good attackers to work with.
Absolutely. She delivers a very, very good tempo ball and sets, she's got a very, some great hitters at the net that she can definitely deliver a ball to that kind of spreads her offense out.
You look about the success of these two teams facing off here today. Certainly Mercy and Henry Clay, two great teams as well, as we see a denial down the center. Strong stop there for the Pandas. It's another score in their way. 7-4 lead. Is that these two teams, talk about wins. Notre Dame, #1 in the state of Kentucky in sets won at 74 on the season. And right behind them in third place, West Jessamine at 64. So these two teams that have been through some long rallies and been able to prevail consistently, as we still see the kill from Long off to the left side. She'll pummel it home. Strong start for West Jessamine, but now a strong roll coming back by the Pandas of Notre Dame. And an ace to go with it. I don't think did they call the play alive?
I don't think.
They called the score, but they were still going in motion there.
Yeah, I don't think the players heard the whistle.
And it's going to be a quick timeout by West Jessamine. It was a close call there on that pancake dig.
Yes.
Point will go Notre Dame, and they quickly move to a 9-4 advantage here early on in the first set. Here on the NFHS Network, KHSA Semi-State Volleyball. The Kentucky High School Athletic Association would like to recognize and thank its corporate partners for supporting the 2020 KHSA State Volleyball Championship and all KHSA Championship events. Whitaker Bank, UK Healthcare, Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, Spalding, Mingy Beef Jerky, KEDC, Roberts Insurance, the University of Kentucky, Leachman Buick, GMC Cadillac of Bowling Green, Eastern Kentucky University, Kentucky Department of Agriculture, Kentucky High School Coaches Association, Instant Signs, Panel Swim Shop, Morehead State University, Baden, Select, and Huddle. Thanks to all the KHSA sponsors for their year-round support of Kentucky High School athletics. Here with Jennifer Morgan, I'm Clay Evans from George Rogers Clark High School. A little semi-state action here early in the afternoon. Notre Dame versus West Jessamine. Right now Notre Dame rolling here in the first set. And they keep the trend moving. A block right out of the break. Again, the height, as you mentioned, Coach, paying off early on for the Pandas.
Yeah, you've got two tall middle and a right side blocker there with Abby Powers on the right side that just really took away that zone 6, and you've got to really cut your angles hard.
Still kept alive there off the floor. Tremendous save by Emma Grace. Bodies flying around for the Pandas. The left-handed drop almost goes in for Long. Now Notre Dame will reset. Put up high and laid down low. Abby Powers drops the hammer for Notre Dame. They're on a 6-point streak.
Yeah, Abby Powers was very key in the match yesterday as well. And, she's one who's going to be continuing her career at Robert Morris next year as well, and a very solid player.
Rolled over to the left side. Godovka with a strong punch. They'll go back to her in the center. Godovka has it knocked away and back to her. They'll go out and for a point to Notre Dame. And I misspoke. I said it was a 6-point run. Now at 12-4, racking up the points here. This is a 9-point run from down 4-3 for Notre Dame. Make it 10. Things getting out of hand here quickly in this first set.
Yeah, West Jessamine's just got to kind of calm down, get that first ball back under control.
Still on service for Notre Dame. Lucky Dickman, the sophomore. Nice dig to keep it alive. And that point will finally go to West Jessamine. Violation on Notre Dame will set up service. Godovka will have the serve. That is flown out of bounds on a service error. Point Notre Dame, and the same point we made in the opening matchup. When you have a favorite like Mercy over top of Henry Clay, you cannot give up those unforced errors. Those are the type of things that will bite you in the long run.
Yeah, exactly. Especially against a solid team like Notre Dame, you can't make those unforced errors.
Push up through the middle. Nice drop off if it stays in, but it doesn't. It'll go out of bounds. It was a good setup there. Nice passing from Wes Jessman. Long able to set that one up. Delilah Long for Wes Jessman, but it goes out of play. And ace back the other direction. Anna Long makes it 16-5 here early in set one. Bentley puts it up. Sheffer tosses it out of bounds, and it will be a point for Wes Jessman. And look at them a little bit, as we said, the 3-0 win over Russell. They have some strong talent on this team. You look at Brooke Hager, top 20 in the state in blocks, a 5-kill, 4-block performance yesterday in the victory over Russell. Gadofka, a tremendous attacker, and then Emily Krentz, a name to keep an eye on. She'll make some big-time plays in the front row as well. Trouble on the return service there as it goes into the net, point Notre Dame. But Wes Jessman has a lot to work with, especially being this young.
Yes, absolutely. You know, like you said, they've got some tall hitters at the front row, and that is one of the strengths that they have is their blocking. But they've got to make sure that they're staying disciplined with their hitters, you know, and getting some hands up on the net.
Target practice the other way for Emma Grace. About as closely laid up on a silver platter as she's going to see. Off to the left, Grace again. Rockets it home. And Notre Dame now just 6 points away from taking the first set here in blowout fashion.
Yeah, Wes Jessman's just got to settle. They've got to kind of pull their passes off the net so that they're not giving Notre Dame some overpasses.
Bentley back over, long reach. It's kept in there by Sydney Nolan. Wes Jessman trying to return it. Nice ball by Gadofka. Back down the row they go. That was Abby Powers on the swing. Bentley trying to go back to Powers, but into the net, and that will be a violation on Notre Dame. Point to Wes Jessman.
Yeah, Emily Bentley did everything that she could to try to save that net or save that pass as a back row setter.
Number 11, Sarah Gadofka. Number 26, Olivia McKibben.
Olivia McKibben steps into the game. Will step in to serve. The junior will step back in. And you look at this team, not only do you talk about the load of freshmen, they have 2 8th graders on the roster.
Yes, exactly.
This is a strong welcome to the world here at Semi-State when you see a Notre Dame senior-laden team like this. Certainly will let you grow fast.
Right. You know, and if anything, it's just a great experience for them to build their future for Wes Jessman.
Bill Bird, the coach for Wes Jessman, doing a tremendous job over there building this program up. As we talked about, Molly McDermott, longtime, I shouldn't say longtime coach, she's only been there since 2018 at Notre Dame, but certainly synonymous with the Pandas for a long time, as we said, a member and co-captain of that 1989 state championship team. As that ball hangs on the top of the net for a moment.
You know, no, go ahead.
Ball
I was going to say, sorry.
You're good. You're good.
Not only is she alumni, but her whole coaching staff are alumni. So I think that goes back to the history, is that this program is, you know, full of history, and here they are, you know, fighting for that state championship again.
Well, it just goes down the line here as we get a timeout brought in by Wes Jessman, 21-7 lead here in the first set. With Jennifer Morgan, I'm Clay Abels here with the KHSAA Semi-State Volleyball match number 2 of the day. We'll have the state finals later tonight. Mercy already booking their ticket for the 7:30 matchup. Notre Dame looking to have a strong start here. It's when you have a school like Notre Dame and you have that success, I mean, you look through the 70s and 80s, the state titles they were able to rack up, and even into the 90s, you look at the success they were able to pile up. Certainly, I'm sure if you're the athletic department and the school over there, you look back at the history, and why wouldn't you use that resource of all of those incredible decades of success they had?
Exactly, you know, and then once you have that history, and then you continue to build your program, and then those players, you know, you just have that connection from year to year to year.
Certainly builds that tradition. You start to see schools again Notre Dame's, the Assumptions, the Mercies build up over time. That legacy continues. Lays it a little bit short, and that will fall into the net point. We'll head to West Jessamine.
Checking in for West Jessamine, number 15, Ava Gadovka.
Back the other way, Gadovka will serve. And right back to it on the ace. That'll put a spark on the side of the Colts. And again, can't stress it enough, the fan support here today. Look at the student section that shows up here in the upper deck.
You know, and like we said, with COVID and the restrictions, you know, you were only given X amount of players, or actually a lot of times it was just parents that you were able to have. So it's really nice to see the fans and the friends able to come to the state tournament.
Especially it's cool for this West Jessamine team. Again, not expected to be here, making the run, get to enjoy that Cinderella story and have a chance to make your way into a state final today. Tremendous with the students and parents coming out to show their support for the Colts. Back down the left side, rocket shot. Sent in by Gadovka, back the other way, split between a double team and dropped to the deck. That'll be a score for Anna Long as she's quickly racking up her kill count once again.
Yeah, she has been one of their go-to players and leaders as a senior, and I think you're going to continue to see that again today.
A go-out violation there on West Jessamine, and now we're at set point quickly here in the first. 24-9, Notre Dame trying to close out set one with a bang. Emma Grace driving it low and driving it home. The service ace to close out set one. Notre Dame rolls through the first, 25-9. For Jennifer Morgan, I'm Clay Abels. We'll be back here in a moment with the second set. Notre Dame versus West Jessamine, the second matchup of the day of the KHSA semi-state action right here on the NFHS network. Back up here from George Rogers Clark High School, second matchup of the day with our KHSA semi-state finals. With Jennifer Morgan, I'm Clay Abels here to start the second set. Notre Dame rolling through the first, 25-9 victory. Again, you look down the road and the great teams living up to the hype here early on the road. Notre Dame and Mercy coming in. You worry about maybe them not being up to their top performance and looking ahead to a state final. They certainly have both keyed in here early on today, although a nice start for West Jessamine out of the second set, as that's Krentz on the swing, and she's able to drive it right down the left side for a score and open up with the first point here in set two.
You know, I think West Jessamine just got to have some time to settle in. You know, a little bit nervous here going against Notre Dame. So we'll see what they do here the second set.
Up to the line, right at the net, and point to West Jessamine. Jousting advantage goes to them on the violation.
Yeah, you had Emily Bentley going up to try to save that ball, but she's a back row player, so that ball can't travel across the plane of the net.
Over to the left, into the net, and another score. Make it 3 in a row for West Jessamine. That'll be an error on Emma Grace. Back to serve again, Olivia McKibben. Got a good amount of service time in that opening set. Early on, Notre Dame making a few mistakes here, and West Jessamine taking advantage.
Absolutely, you just need a little bit of confidence here.
Back again, this time taking the pace off. Gadovka with the dig. Free ball over for Notre Dame. Bentley finds the roll. Nice defensive rally here. Bentley sets it up off the right side. Powers.
And that is her go-to shot. We saw that a lot yesterday. She works that line really well. She gets her hips turns around and she finishes that line.
Camden Strand sends it over. Back the other way, off the fingertips, the score. Emily Krentz, who we said keep an eye on tonight. She is having one of those performances here early on, showing out. 13 kills, and 16 digs yesterday against Russell, so she's had a strong postseason performance.
Absolutely.
She'll go back to serve and go to right down the left side. Bentley looking again on that roll, trying to go to Nolan. A save could not be afforded, flying into the bench. Sydney Collins couldn't get to it. And a point will go back to Notre Dame. Still an early 4-2 West Jessamine lead here in set 2. To the back row, and I believe it'll stay in. West Jessamine finding spots here early on. They'll pick up a score and go back on service to Brooke Haggard.
You know, and Brooke is a very good middle, and she has always done a good job to really hit those deep corners. And when you're going up against the big middles there, you've really got to drive that ball deep to the corners.
Cross it back over to their bread and butter. Anna Long powers it into the back line and picks up the score for Notre Dame. Whenever they get in a tough spot, you can just go over to the left side and get the automatic score.
Yeah, Anna Long's hitting 286 right now with 3 kills.
Carlisle will have service for the Pandas. Lays over to the left. The runner put home. Gadofka on the move in the finish. And again, West Jessamine having a really strong second set here, extending the 6-3 lead. Annabella Pandelli will have service, and we'll see some substitutions come the other way for Notre Dame.
For Notre Dame, number 6, Emily Wickman.
I don't know if they're looking over substitutions here or what exactly.
Yeah, I'm not sure. There was quite a few of them that came up at once. I'm not sure the official got all 3 of them.
I think Coach McDermott wanted to see a change.
Yeah.
After how this first few points have started. Trying to chase it down, and in doing so, sends it out of bounds. Shepard, a little late there on the roll, and sends it out of bounds. Point West Jessamine. Long again, but out. Skying up, but could not angle inside the lines. And it is now an 8-3 West Jessamine lead. You would have stunned a lot of people if you would have saw that score tuning in for the start of the second set.
Yes, absolutely. You're having a few hitting errors right here on Notre Dame's side.
The block, 9-3. Gadofka on the stop and a timeout for Notre Dame. Molly McDermott wants to have a conversation with her team as we look back on the run, and West Jessamine had a tremendous job. You see they're finishing off the set time and time again, working their way down that left side and moving their way through for points, taking advantage of the errors from Notre Dame. Jennifer Morgan with me. I'm Clay Abels here from George Rogers Clark High School, KHSA volleyball semi-state. Seems like the underdogs risen to the occasion, Coach.
Yeah, you know, when you are the underdogs, you don't have to worry. You can't play tight. You know, there's not a lot to worry about. You just got to play consistent and go with the things that have worked. And one of the strong suit has been West Jessamine's blocking. And you know, you can put those pressures on the hitters on Notre Dame's, then they kind of tend to make mistakes. Where that's where you've seen the last 3 errors have been hitting errors. So we'll see how Notre Dame comes back after this timeout and responds.
Sure, it's a simple conversation for Coach McDermott. Like, hey, let's just calm back down. You know, we were playing executional, excellent volleyball in the first set, and now we've gone a complete 180, and everything's all over the place. Two-hand touch, sent over by Long, and into the net rolled by West Jessamine. That comes off of Abby Brunner. Point finally goes back to Notre Dame.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I think Notre Dame just got to relax and kind of get back to the volleyball that they played that first set. But again, West Jessamine's came out this second set and really put the pressure on them.
Bentley to serve. Back to the left side, Gadofka powers a one-handed save. She'll get the shot back to it and takes advantage able to split it by Gutkowska for the finish.
And Abby Powers has really come on strong. I mean, she is got 4 kills on 4 attempts, 4 kills on 5 attempts, hitting an 800.
Service error into the net by Bentley, gives it back to West Jessamine. Powers, again, you go to the situation, kind of what we talked about in the first game for Mercy. You have Lanham, who is obviously a tremendous star. You have Scott, and it kind of opened up things for Schneid Miller, number 23 for Mercy. Similar situation here for Powers. You have to put so much emphasis on Emma Grace, and especially Anna Long opens up some doors for her.
Yes, exactly. And then again, you've got, that's where you we talked about that before. It kind of just opens up for those X Factor players to shine through, and that's exactly what Abby Powers is doing.
Off to the left. Denied.
Point, Notre Dame.
That's a sweet block there. Krantz has it rejected. Score to Notre Dame, and that will set up a good service here for Notre Dame and puts Anna Long in the back row. Krantz has to come back to it. Down through the middle, back to her.
Point, West Jessamine.
Shepard has the shot, denied right back into her
Checking back in
for the
West
score. West Jessamine not going away here, still with a 4-point lead in set 2. Certainly Bill Bird has got his team convinced they deserve to be in this game, and so far they have proven that here in the second set. Bentley gives it back to Powers. Down the line it goes, and inside it stays. Point Notre Dame.
And that is her go-to shot down the line.
Well, Bill Bird there was having a little conversation whether that was in or out. Looked to be in.
Yes.
It's just so impressive she can hit it just on a straight line like that, coming back overarching. Such a difficult shot. Back to the left. Bentley now trying to feed Powers, and does. 2 kills in a row. Abby Powers putting on a show here in the second set, helping to bring Notre Dame back within 2. And that will lead to a timeout. West Jessamine seemed as if they've found the solution there a minute to slow down the Notre Dame offensive attack, but now Abby Powers coming out with a strong performance there in the last few minutes.
Yeah, she's leading the kill leader for the all the hitters right now with 6 kills, hitting 750.
Impressive performance she's had. She's, like I said, brought Notre Dame back into this matchup here. So we're in the second set. Notre Dame a 1-0 lead on the game. The Kentucky High School Athletic Association would like to recognize and thank its corporate partners for supporting the 2020 KHSA State Volleyball Championship and all KHSA championship events. Whitaker Bank, UK Healthcare, Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Spalding, Mingy Beef Jerky, KEDC, Kentucky Utilities, Musco Sports Lighting, Midway University, Prairie Farms, Duchess Chevrolet, Ted Cook Tire, Tanner Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, and Rafteries and Double Dogs. We appreciate and thank all of our KHSA sponsors for their year-round support of Kentucky High School athletics. Notre Dame will start on service, back out of the timeout. As this Witchman has the handle. Violation again. West Jessamine picks it up, and now Notre Dame back within 1. Crucial times right here for West Jessamine.
Yeah, they've just got to, get a quick side out here and do what they did before and get that ball back and make some runs here.
Into the net.
Point, Panthers.
Point Notre Dame, and they have tied their way back into this. The tough part when you get to Notre Dame is when they get on service and you have Witchman or Anna Long, they tend to rack points up in bunches.
Yes, and that's exactly what's happening right now. West Jessamine's doing a really good job controlling the first ball. They just need to finish.
Point, West Jessamine.
Notre Dame into the net. As Coach McDermott slings the ball over to the sanitation crew. There's a little bit of frustration behind that.
Yeah. Don't want to give up an easy point.
Especially when you can retake the lead, build on that momentum, and now you lose your spot on serve. West Jessamine back to it. McKibben serves it down the middle. Bentley, the one-hand touch and the one-hand slam. Sydney Nolan, quietly a couple nice moments tonight. A phenomenal athlete in the middle of the net.
Absolutely, and just a sophomore at 6'2", we're going to see a lot from her in the next couple years.
Need to get her on the basketball team if she's 6'2". So there's going to be some conversations there in the athletic department with those type of hops. Godofka pushes it down. Back to it, Nolan. Again to the bench. Tremendous save. Oh, just couldn't get the distance. Impressive work there by West Jessamine to try to save the play. Sydney Collins, all-out effort to go flying into the bench.
Yeah, she's made some great pursuit plays, and her hustle tonight has not been, unnoticed.
So she's provided that spark defensively for the team. Coming back the other way, pushed it by, no finger touch for West Jessamine. Point back to Notre Dame, and now they extend their lead to 2.
And that's what you look for. That's the difference between a DS and a libero, is they bring that spark.
Down the left side. Krentz went with it, and now finished off on the left. Finally, after not speaking your name for a bit of time, Emma Grace with the kill. Works her way there off the left block. Notre Dame stays on service. Camden Strand on the handle. Krentz on the swing. Back to it, and it gets into the back row. Nolan starting to put together 3 kills here in the last few points. And that's going to be a timeout coming from West Jessamine. Notre Dame on a roll here, now back up 4, controlling in the second set. Winning set 1, 25-9. Started off down heavily here in the opening set. We had a incredible run from West Jessamine that put them up early, but Notre Dame slowly scrapped their way back into it and now have a 4-point lead. Coach Jennifer Morgan with me. I'm Clay. We'll see her on the NFHS network from George Rogers Clark High School. Looking forward to the state final matchup we'll have tonight at 7:30. Great game that we have here today. If you're just tuning in, Mercy already booking their ticket with the victory over Henry Clay. And people will see that 3-0 scoreboard, but if you have chance, go back and watch the replay of that third set. Tremendous work between Henry Clay and Mercy going into extras there. Some of the best volleyball I've seen on the season.
Absolutely, I definitely agree. Henry Clay gave, everything they absolutely could that third set to, almost get that third set and take it into 4.
Notre Dame right now facing some trouble from West Jessamine. Colts trying to get their back into it after a little struggle here, and they do. That'll be Emily Krentz, who has been all over the ball here in set 2.
She has. Like I said, she had a phenomenal game yesterday, and she's one of those leaders that her team depends on, and she is doing the same thing tonight, and her team is rallying around her.
Bentley drops it off to Grace, who's starting to find a little bit of rhythm here in the second set after a quiet spurt. She now has 2 quick kills out of the last 3 points for Notre Dame.
Now she's coming on really strong. She's got 5 kills, hitting .444.
McKibben deals it over. There's Godofka. Knight in the front row. Nolan, a second block. Credit will go on that play to Anna Long, but it was started by Cindy Nolan, and she helped finish that double team block.
Yeah, for 6'2", she moves very well, and you love to see a middle able to move that quick, closing from one pin to the other pin.
Godofka denied again. They keep it in, and a miscommunication there from the back line to the front line. I think they were looking for that ball to go out of bounds, and it was eventually saved by West Jessamine, and it looked like it bailed Notre Dame out of an error.
Yeah.
Grace still on service for Notre Dame. 19-13 game here in set 2. The Pandas with the lead. Over to Long, splitting the double team and scoring the 20th point here in set 2. West Jessamine out of timeouts in the set, so you're going to have to find a way to ride it out on the court.
Yeah, and Emily Bentley's doing a great job mixing up her sets. Their middles are going behind, which is creating a huge seam, and Anna Long is getting seams in the block, so she's just, hitting that seam.
Grace again on service, just picked up an ace. Nice job going over the top there for Godofka, and they're rewarded with the point violation on Notre Dame. Well, both these teams play incredibly quick. I mean, you look at the points here. Again, we started this game at 12:30. Assuming we'll see the end of the set here at the pace it's going at, you're almost going to have 2 sets done in about 35 minutes.
Yeah, it's a very fast-paced game.
That's how Notre Dame likes to play. And West Jessamine likes to play that way as well. Long. Driven to the hardwood. That's going to leave a dent.
Yeah.
Nolan steps out of the game.
Checking back in for Notre Dame, number 2, Carlisle.
Carlisle steps in and she'll take service. 22-14 now Notre Dame. Grace misses the dig, sliding over from left to right. And that'll be a point West Jessamine. Nice ball, placed it to the back row by the Colts. And we'll have service the other way, West Jessamine. A chance here to kind of put a last stand together in the second set, putting some pressure back on Notre Dame. Still time.
Yeah, they got to come out aggressive right here from the service line.
Just gets over the net. Pancake save. Kept alive by Notre Dame. That was Strand on the dig, and they find a way to pull out the point off the net error from West Jessamine. That is a sensational pancake dig by Camden Strand.
Yes, that was a great pursue and a great up.
Bentley has service. West Jessamine trying to find a score. Krentz slows it up. Now down to Long, denied, out of bounds, point Notre Dame, and they are now at set point here. A chance to lead 2-0 going into the third. Bentley down the middle, plays it low. Good save by Krentz to keep it alive. Godofka has the swing. Long for the finish. 25-15 Notre Dame after an early deficit in set 2. They move their way easily through the finish and get to the 2-0 advantage. We'll be back in a moment. Back up at George Rogers Clark High School. Jennifer Morgan alongside me. I'm Clay Abels with the second matchup of the day for the semi-state finals. State finals will be tonight at 7:30. Notre Dame 1 set away from facing off against Mercy. Tremendous second set we saw there from West Jessamine, fighting their way back into it, getting the early lead. Notre Dame, though, calls the timeout. Molly McDermott calms her team back down. And when she did that, it was like something just clicked back in their brain, like, okay, let's revert to how we performed in the first set. Went back to under control and looked like the same Notre Dame team of old.
Yeah, West Jessamine came out that second set and really made Notre Dame really had them making some unforced errors, which gave West Jessamine the lead, and then it kind of reverted back where West Jessamine was making some unforced errors. And then Notre Dame was chipping away, and then they got back to that tide, and then from there on, they just kind of controlled the rest of the match.
Abby Powers, certainly with a big set, she helped bring Notre Dame back into that, and also we saw Sydney Nolan really perform strongly in that set as well. Emma Grace, some late points, just seemed to be firing on all cylinders offensively.
Yeah, for the match, Notre Dame is hitting 327, where West Jessamine hitting a negative 113.
It's not going to work.
Yeah, the difference there.
This is a team in Notre Dame that they're second in the state with kills. They're an offensive attacking group. As Powers fits it on the back row and picks up the score.
I feel like I could just hit repeat. Abby Powers goes down the line for a kill. Abby Powers gets another kill down the line.
And again, it's not an easy shot.
No, not when you're on that opposite side.
So if you're a coach and you're trying to get to Notre Dame, out of your options, whether to let Nolan go down the middle or Emma Grace like that or Anna Long sky up, you'd rather make Powers take the difficult chance, but she's making you pay every time. There's not much you can do.
Right. And, you know, when you've got 2 pin hitters and they both work well off of your setter and your West Jessamine, it's really hard to defend.
West Jessamine comes back to it with the score. Abby Powers actually to the sidelines. It's interesting to see how her absence here in a minute of substitution on the rotation plays into it. Krentz will serve. Nice denial. Good blocking overall on that right side for West Jessamine. Able to make the stand, and Krentz will go back again on service. Exactly what the doctor ordered. And that's Sarah Godofka, who is the sister of Ava Godofka. Don't hear her name as much, just a sophomore. Ava's senior star. But making a nice impact there on the block.
Yeah, and again, like I said, that's one of West Jessamine's strong suits. So you want them to, you know, at this point, Coach Bird, I'm sure he wants them to have more than 3 blocks for this match so far, so that's nice to see another one.
Sent out of bounds, Emma Grace lays it out of play. And this is the type of thing, or type of play, I should say, that West Jessamine needs to find a way to capitalize. When Notre Dame makes the rare mistake, you need to hold on to service as long as you can. Very rarely do they have a service error. Dealed over to Long. Just effortless.
Yes. Well, she's got such a nice vertical and a high reach that she's going to be hard to stop.
It's almost like she's airlifting up. Like
yes.
she just like, it's almost like perfect jump, footwork, directly vertical up in the air. There's no leaning over. It's just a perfect vertical.
And hence why she's going to play in the sand.
Yeah, I think she's going to have a fun time at Florida State as a sand volleyball player. We've seen that as we see a error there on Godofka. We've seen that really pick up in the game. I mean, obviously I know you being in the recruiting space, being a high school coach and having players move on to the college level, sand volleyball certainly made a big impact here in the last few years.
Oh, it's such a great opportunity for volleyball players. It's so such another opportunity for them, and another opportunity for you know, those who have a vertical that are 6 rotation players. When you can do those things, it just gives them another opportunity.
So the game's really picking up well, and I'm sure if you're a college kid and you got an opportunity to go play sand volleyball at Florida State, pretty cool experience.
Yeah, wouldn't be one to pass that up for sure.
Exactly. Bentley at the net, gives it over, Long, sent back. Sarah Godofka again on the stop. 2 blocks here early on in set 3.
Yeah, that's nice to see her come in. She came in, you know, here for the front row and made 2 great blocks.
Pumped up the bench. She's got great size for just a sophomore.
Yes. You know, and like we've talked about, West Jessamine's a very young team, so this is a great experience for them, and it's only going to build their program and their future.
Bentley gives it back to Grace, sends it a bit long, and goes out of play. Now back within 1 here, 6-5 Notre Dame still on top in set 3, as West Jessamine able to string a few points together. Bentley handles it over. Down the line they go, blocked. Sending it back over to Long. Strikes with not as much power as usual. A second chance. Takes it off touch and catches West Jessamine off guard. Point, Notre Dame. And Powers will step back in after a nice breather. Out of play on the air. Point back to West Jessamine. Again, same thing we saw in set 2 here with Notre Dame, having some trouble with some errors early on.
Yes, they just need to clean up the little things.
Schroeder comes back to the ball and sends it out of bounds. Her and Bentley trying to keep that play alive, but to no avail. And now it's tied back up at 7.
West Jessamine.
Violation down the middle, and West Jessamine has come back to take the lead here in the third set. 8-7, still early, but again, showing that fight similar to set 2 and putting pressure here on Notre Dame. Rolls over the net, and again, miscommunication. Powers can't get to it, and that'll be a service ace.
You know, I think this is where we saw what we saw in that first match today, where we saw that second set, you're up 2-0, and Henry Clay did the same thing to Mercy. You can't give up, and West Jessamine right now is not going to give up, and Notre Dame cannot stop playing if they want to win this in 3.
Schroeder, good defensive rally here. West Jessamine trying to find its way in, and does. Off deflection, the score and follow through put in by Krentz. Molly McDermott, though, give her credit, letting her team figure it out.
Yeah, and sometimes that's just what you have to do. You're in this situation, and they've got to work through this and have the confidence in each other, and it just takes one player to finish this play and then get the ball back for a rally.
Bentley, again, having trouble on distribution, sends it over the top of the net. And McDermott was considering the timeout there, but walked back away. Now 11-7 West Jessamine. Bentley tries to track it down. Long, stutter step into it. Powers past the right hand off deflection, and West Jessamine extends the lead, and now we'll get a Notre Dame timeout.
That's a great up by Sydney Collins. That first contact allows them to drive the ball to the middle and then get a kill. That was a great up.
The Colts on the roll, as we see, and it's incredible. You see the roll they've gone on here. 12-7 advantage. We mentioned early on the broadcast, only one senior on this West Jessamine team. To see the continuity they have in a semi-state game, quite impressive at this level against Notre Dame.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, you know, when they walked in here, they have a logo on their shirt that says family, you know, and I think that's what they're here doing it. They're doing it together as a family. They're one knit group, and they're coming in here, and they've, again, got their goal set to be in this state tournament. And like you said earlier, they feel like they deserve to be here like everybody else, and they're going to play and compete just for this state championship and be in that final match. Now,
we assume Notre Dame's going to come back out of this timeout like they did in the second set, regroup, figure things back out, calm back down. From West Jessamine, how do you prepare for that part? The return of Notre Dame that you have to prepare for. Very unlikely we'll see those same errors come up again here. They're going to lock back in.
Yeah, I don't know if you even talk about that. I think you just focus on what you're doing. You are going to continue to keep the pressure on them from the service line and hope that you can continue to have them make the errors that they're making.
Godofka will serve. Schroeder puts it up high, down the center. Long has it rejected. Score again off the block. Abby Brunner on the stop. And now it's 13-7 West Jessamine right out of the timeout. Ready to rock and roll. Answering the call here against Notre Dame. Out of bounds there. Godofka slows it out of play. Long will serve. Back in, and a score again for West Jessamine. They find it off another mistake there from Notre Dame. Maybe we spoke too soon. Notre Dame's still not put back together.
No, they are being more aggressive, and they are causing Notre Dame to make some really unforced errors right now. Notre Dame just got to calm down and go back to what they've done in the first two sets that have worked.
Long digs it out. Goes back to Powers. Tries to force it in. Past the double team. Frentz finding life for West Jessamine here in this third set. It's now a 15-8 game. Collins to serve. Bentley goes back over to Gray, splits it through and finds the score.
Point, Panthers. Checking back in for the Panthers, number 11, Sydney Nolan.
Emily Wichman will take service. Bentley puts it up. Nolan, the reach and the finish, getting it off the fingertips. You know, I was trying to put my finger on who she reminded me of as a player, and I was finally able to look it up in between sets. Kendall Paris is kind of a little bit what she reminds me of at Kentucky.
Yeah.
A little bit Nolan with the height and the length and the ability to move from side to side as well as she does. Obviously, I know she had a lot of success with your former player, Leah Edmond, there at the University of Kentucky. A few SEC titles. Back in the net we go. West Jessamine score. They both have that same gait when they go left to right. Just perfect jump on the block. And it's incredible to see her at that level as just a sophomore.
26, Olivia McKibben.
McKibben to serve. West Jessamine holding on to a 6-point lead here. All the momentum in their favor. Notre Dame a little off kilter here in the third set. Still haven't found their rhythm. Nolan trying to spark that run as she does, splitting it through the right side.
And that's what Notre Dame has got to do. They've got to control that from the first contact, just like Anna Long did there. And they were able to run their middles and get the kill.
Prince on the runner. Bentley gives it back to Grace. Powers it through. No touch. Out of bounds. Point West Jessamine. Nolan. Same play, same result.
She has really been successful.
She does a great job just sweeping from left to right.
Yes.
Going off that left leg. Again, similar to what we were talking about with Abby Powers earlier, that's not an easy shot to master. Takes a lot of power to make that work. Bentley up the middle. Nolan again. She is carrying the team right now.
You know, and if you're Coach Bird right now, you're telling your middle, Brooke, you've got to follow her. You go ahead and intend to leave that way, but then in the same aspect, you got Anna Log out there, so you can't leave her alone either.
It is not an easy decision to do as a defensive coach. Long back to it, the finish and the flush. Notre Dame keeps it within 3. Need to change this. Actually, the point is, originally it was pointed to Notre Dame, but they flipped it back to West Jessamine.
Yeah, they called Notre Dame setter on a double.
Interesting call there. Got the headlines judge already on the point to the left. Notre Dame does pick up this score, so now it's 18-14. Nolan will step out here, take a breather, and Schroeder will come back in. Schroeder and Strand, two of the smaller players on the court for Notre Dame, both fly around defensively in that back row. Couldn't get to it in time there. Schroeder looking to get the pancake dig, but drops before it can hit her right hand. And that quickly leads to Nolan coming back into the game. Actually, sorry, I have a move for libero, bringing in Wichman.
Yes.
Emily Wichman for West Jessamine, number 24, Annabella Handelli, number 44, Keelan Ford.
Bentley tries to work it over to Long. Slight two-hand touch. Joust at the net. Bentley gives it back to Long. Flat-footed jump. Sends it over with power, but kept in play. Godovka back the other way. Long with a second chance into the net and for a score. Big point there for Notre Dame to get it within 4, as it's 19-15 here in set 3. Notre Dame the 2-0 advantage, but a sluggish third set puts them in a deficit.
Yeah, West Jessamine definitely has more energy right now and definitely showing with a 19-15 lead.
Gets it through. Godofka will serve. I'm not sure how she managed to find a crease in the middle, but did and created the score. Bentley lays it up for Powers. Finds it home. Had a quiet third set. She was the difference in returning this team back in set 2.
Yes, all the middles, and she is in the middle, but that slide has definitely been a success for Notre Dame.
Great duck by Sydney Collins, almost going for the analog service. It goes over her head as she ducks, and that will be a point to West Jessamine. Still a 5-point advantage here late in set 3. West Jessamine trying to find their way into a set victory. Bentley at the net. Back to Grace. Good dig by Collins. Still alive here for West Jessamine. Miscommunication. Free ball over for Notre Dame. Bentley. Backside to Grace. Emma Grace starting to find a rhythm here. Missed a few shots early on in that second half, but finally starting to find her rhythm and driving the ball in with speed. Nolan will step back in. Wichman, the soft touch on the serve. Back to the right, Powers. This will be up at the net for Nolan. Good job again by Godofka on the dig. Over to Krentz. Denied, but out of bounds. Point West Jessamine.
That was some great defensive ups by Anna Godava back there.
Huge substitutions coming the way for West Jessamine. McKibben will come back in, and she will serve. 22-17, just a few points away from a set point for West Jessamine. After a 25-9 first set and a 25-15 second, would have not expected to be at this point. Grace trying to pick it back up for Notre Dame. Still kept alive.
West Jessamine is so scrappy right now.
Grace out of bounds. Is it deflected? It is not. Point 23 for West Jessamine, and the final timeout of the set for Notre Dame.
You have got to give West Jessamine some credit right now. They have come out this third set on fire with the energy, and they have not stopped battling. They are scrappy. They are forcing Notre Dame to make some unforced errors, some really uncharacteristic plays. They really want this third set.
What's incredible, too, as you look, so many times for them in this third set that they could have packed it in, given it up, at least relaxed a little bit, and they have consistently, as you mentioned, just scrapped this game out. Every loose ball they have got to, and they've really outworked Notre Dame here in the third set.
Yes, they have.
I'm sure that's part of the conversation with Coach McDermott down there. Not a talent issue right now for Notre Dame, just West Jessamine putting in the work to succeed. As they get the timeout here, this will be an interesting scenario if West Jessamine can extend this game and go to a fourth set. McKibben will serve. They're 2 points away from winning the set. Notre Dame's at 17, so they've got a little bit of a hill to climb if they want to make this a competition. Out of bounds. See a quick sub, brings Powers out of the game. They'll set up service for Notre Dame to give Schran an opportunity to deal. Frentz tries to go long. Up the middle. Nolan the punch.
Yeah, she has been one of the go-to players this game. She's got 11 kills so far this set.
And she's really doing it from about a 5-foot radius. It's all around that center.
Yes.
Blocked by Bentley and Nolan. Frentz just plays it over. Back over to Gray, sets it up and scores. 3 quick ones for Notre Dame. They cut the deficit in half. Timeout West Jessamine. The explosion of Notre Dame coming out of the timeout. The Kentucky High School Athletic Association would like to recognize and thank its corporate partners for supporting the 2020 KHSAA State Volleyball Championship and all KHSAA Championship events. Whitaker Bank, UK Healthcare Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Spalding, Mingy Beef Jerky, and KEDC. Thanks to all the KHSAA sponsors for their year-round support of Kentucky High School athletics. Notre Dame finding a quick spurt, scoring 3 straight points. I'm sure that's got to frustrate you for Coach McDermott. Like, where's this been?
Yes,
yeah, you
exactly.
call a timeout and everything just flips.
Yeah, but that's what you want. This is why, earlier where you mentioned she didn't call a timeout, that's why. You're in that situation, you've got to get out of it, and that's kind of why you don't, because you need them to respond this way, and you kind of are hoping this next 5 points go in your favor.
Tran sends it over, plays it low, sets it up for the punch. Bentley actually gets the kill.
Yes.
And now it's a 2-point game. Pressure now back on West Jessamine. They've been able to answer every call here in the 3rd set. Notre Dame now breathing down their necks. Off to left, France pushes it through and scores. Gets the friendly bounce off the deflection, and it's now set point for West Jessamine. Prince will serve. West Jessamine trying to find their way into a set victory. Bentley gives it up to Nolan. Deflected, kept alive by Collins. Back over to Godofka, still in play. Rejected, back to it again, and here's Notre Dame on the set. Violation, Notre Dame, set 3, West Jessamine.
Notre Dame leads 2 sets to 1. Set 4, coming up.
The crowd roaring here at George Rogers Clark. There's a group of about 20 to 25 West Jessamine students up there, and they're making the noise of about 4,000 or 5,000.
Yes, you would think that the gym is just absolutely packed.
It's hilarious because you have more Notre Dame fans here by numbers. But West Jessamine making the trip. The students showing their support. And they're making their noise heard here as they pick up set 3. And now it's a game. As we go into the 4th set here, this provides some life if you're West Jessamine. Notre Dame, I'm certain if you're going into the timeout there, this is a great chance for Coach McDermott to say, hey, this is what I talked about. This is why we have to focus. And I would expect to see a much more serious Notre Dame team out of the game.
Yes. I don't think that's what they expected to happen in that 3rd set, but, you've got to give credit to West Jessamine. They came out and really played with confidence and were the team that had more aggressive. They played more aggressive. And, in volleyball, that's what it takes. You can't come out in that 3rd set, and when you're up 2-0, you can't play relaxed. And, that's kind of what happened with Notre Dame. You're up 2-0, you kind of played more relaxed, and when you have that situation, it's not over. And West Jessamine really made Notre Dame make some unforced errors, and that kind of went into West Jessamine's favor, and they really, had things go their way, and they played a great 3rd set.
And what's interesting is you look back at that set, we talked about how physical and how scrappy that West Jessamine team was. You look through, and oftentimes scrappiness, Notre Dame facing a little bit of adversity. How will they react to that? That will be the question, and I'm sure a big portion of this, if you're Notre Dame, is you want to see, again, if you're Coach McDermott, how you react to this, because your goal obviously still to get to the state final tonight at 7:30. We'll have that for you here at George Rogers Clark. But if you can't handle adversity right now, Mercy will certainly put it into you later.
Yes, they will.
They'll give adversity. Both teams head back out to the court. One bright spot, you would say, from that 3rd set for Notre Dame, Nolan really playing at a high level, making some big-time kills and blocks. And Notre Dame will start off with the set here to begin the 4th. Because now things get a whole lot more interesting here as we're into a 4th set. West Jessamine takes the 3rd. It's still a 2-1 Notre Dame lead. What looked to be an afterthought is now a competition here in the semi-state final. West Jessamine comes out with Frentz. Powers, poor pass to set her up, tries to just punch it through the center. Frentz comes back directly down the left line. She continues her hot streak. And what I love about her play, not an overly sized athlete, very small, but incredibly aggressive.
Yeah, she is very aggressive, and she's got a great snap and a very hard, deep shot that, you know, has been very successful against this Notre Dame team.
Bentley turns it over to Powers. A better setup the second time around, and Powers is able to play it home.
For Notre Dame, number 5, Camden Schran.
Schran will get service. It stays in. Oh, miscommunication, misjudged between Godofka and Frentz. That ball stays in for the ace. McKibben gives it up the center, rolls around, bouncing into the net. Violation on Notre Dame. And a nice follow through there by Brooke Hager. Haven't said her name a ton today, but she's been an impact player on that front line.
Yeah, she is. She's got, you know, 4 kills, hitting .429. Definitely one of those go-to players for West Jessamine.
Nolan, nice layover. Incredible dig work, though. Back by West Jessamine. They just won't go away. Nolan gets a second chance and finishes the job.
Like I said, that slide, anything behind the setter right now has been so successful for Notre Dame.
Emma Grace on service. Into the net. That sends Hager back to serve for West Jessamine.
Checking back in for West Jessamine, number 16, Abby Brenner.
Bentley dealing over to Long, and she's denied. And that is Sarah Godofka. Again, the younger sister of Ava Godofka, making a big-time impact in this game. A few blocks in the last set, now coming up with a big stop here early in set 4.
Yeah, that's 3 blocks that she's had coming in between sets 3 and 4.
Notre Dame having trouble on that slide to the right side. Point staying with West Jessamine. Bentley tries to find Long again. Can't be stopped by Hager. She's caught off balance in the back row, and a kill to Long.
Checking in for West Jessamine, number 18, that's Sigrid Collins. For Notre Dame, number 1.
There's Carlisle
Number 2,
to send it over.
Carlisle.
Godofka lays it off short. Beautiful touch.
Checking in for West Jessamine, number 24, Annabella Pandell, number 44, Keeler Ford. For Notre Dame.
Bentley tries to get it over to Long. Stopped at the net, and point to Notre Dame.
Yeah, she swung hard to get that through the block.
Number 18, Abby Powers.
Just feels as if right now, even after that point, Notre Dame just looks to be in a rut that they can't get out of.
Yes.
It's odd to watch because you look back at that first set and how strong and efficient they were on execution. And even in the second set where they had troubles, they flipped the switch and turned it on. They seem to not be able to hit the button right now to get back to where they were, as we see Powers get the kill off deflection. Just not the same smoothness.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's a frustrating thing to play in, not let alone watch. But you have West Jessamine, who is the first set, everything went Notre Dame's way. Well, West Jessamine has become the scrappy team that nothing is hitting the ground. And as a hitter, that's frustrating. So you're tending to make more errors because you can't get a kill.
Into the net. Notre Dame will take point and lead here in the fourth set. They've now put together 3 points in a row. We'll see if this rides them into a lead and back to their early momentum. West Jessamine returning service. Gadofka denied. Shepard there on the block. First time we've said her name in some time. Pancake dig not in service for Emma Grace. Couldn't slip her hand underneath. Gaddafi will come back for service. The fake and the score. That was a beautiful setup right there. Flying across, you had Shepard, and then you close it off there with Long. That's a beautiful setup.
Yeah, that's what Notre Dame is used to seeing and doing. And like I said, when you have that scrappy team, they take you out of your rhythm, and then you're playing a different ball game. And that's the type of play Notre Dame's used to playing.
Long has it raced by her, couldn't create the dig. Beautiful blast there again. West Jessamine bringing the power. Collins steps back to serve. I'd like to see what her numbers at the end of this game will be in digs. I mean, she has been racking them up.
All over the place.
And the Energizer Bunny, this Colt squad, kept alive. Powers free balls it over. Frentz almost makes it happen. Free ball back the other way now. Powers finds its way in off the deflection. Wichman to serve. See Nolan step back in. Wichman going low and light touch on that serve, really dropping it in with beauty. Block at the net. Point Notre Dame. Well, Nolan was close to being hit in the top of the net there. Be careful if you're Notre Dame, as we'll now see a timeout for West Jessamine. The score 11-8, Notre Dame here early on in set 4. Things picking up after a contentious third set and an upset victory for West Jessamine has made it a game.
Yes, they have.
We'll see how things manage out here throughout the rest of the fourth set. Both teams so far going back and forth pretty evenly, unlike last set where West Jessamine jumped out to lead. Notre Dame clawing back the entire time. The Kentucky High School Athletic Association would like to recognize and thank its corporate partners for supporting the 2020 KHSA State Volleyball Championship and all KHSA Championship events. Whitaker Bank, UK Healthcare, Orthopedics, and Sports Medicine Spalding, Mingy Beef Jerky, KEDC, Kentucky Utilities, Musco Sports Lighting, Midway University, Prairie Farms, Dutchess Chevrolet, Ted Cook Tire, Rafteries and Double Dogs, and Tanner Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. Thanks to all our KHSAA sponsors for their year-round support of Kentucky High School athletics. Right out of the timeout, West Jessamine finding a score. Quickly to operate.
You know, and like I said, West Jessamine is continuing to stay aggressive. They are, finding the floor, and things are just really following their way.
Well, the big piece for them is they're such a momentum-based team. Being a younger team, they thrive on hard work and seeing things go in their positive direction. Notre Dame, a little bit more mature, consistent team, seeing the ups and downs. Don't get us high and low in this game, but if you're West Jessamine, you need to play off that, and they certainly have.
Yes, they have.
Every once in a while, it's good to play off emotion,
yes.
Make a difference. Bentley back to Long. Finds a way, screeching it into that left side. Will get the The bounce off, I believe that was McKibben.
Yes. And that puts Anna Long at 15 kills for the match.
Over the top, service error back the other way. That'll be Schran. Speaking of Anna Long, as you mentioned, she had another phenomenal day. Almost an odd way, it's like she quietly has 15 kills. She certainly had some sparks, no doubt, in this match, but I've certainly seen performances out of her where she's dominated even more. Nolan, push back, down the row, and McGrace went up into the air and didn't know what to do with it.
Yeah, I think that set was just pushed a little bit wide, so Grace was kind of trapped, didn't really have much that she could do with that set.
Stuck in no man's land.
Yeah.
Never want to be on the outside of the padding trying to find a position for the ball to go in. Grace gets it back. This time better positioning, but out of bounds. Tries to work it from left to right and just squeezed out of play. And back to a one-possession game. West Jessamine on the serve. Here's Krentz again on the handle. Krentz, excuse me. Bentley up top. Nolan, the teardrop. Again, spins it down the line for the score.
Point, Notre Dame.
And we haven't seen that recently where Nolan has run in front of the setter, running a one ball. Normally she's going behind for a C or a slide.
Grace back to serve. Off the antenna, point Notre Dame. Trying to get Gadovka there on the run. Notre Dame back up to 3. West Jessamine trying to inspire some life into its team. The fans enthusiastic behind the underdog. Bouncing off the return. Collins sees it go past her. Point Notre Dame. Grace the line drive, but sprayed out of play.
Checking back in for West Jessamine, number 16.
Emma Grace, a tremendous player, just really having trouble today with her accuracy on some of these shots.
Yeah, everything's just kind of been off just a little bit.
It seems it's always, most of the time, now I know it's where she's lined up, but oftentimes it's always off to the left. She's trying to thread that needle.
Yes.
West Jessamine.
But needless to say, I mean, she's got 11 kills, hitting a 208, so.
Still not a bad day.
No, not a bad day at all with 8 digs.
Kate Shepard, number 2, Anashea Carlisle. For West Jessamine, number 18, Sydney Collins.
Up the middle, McKibben. Back pass, tries to go to Sarah Gadovka. Kept in play, long. Free ball over, chance for Notre Dame to set up. Back pass, nice work from Notre Dame, but better defense from West Jessamine. Bentley on the run, finds the spot. Kate Shepard with the score, and that will be a timeout for West Jessamine, their last of the set.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to remind you that at the conclusion
18-13 game here in the fourth set. Notre Dame 7 points away from punching a ticket to tonight's state final matchup. A weird game in sorts. Looked like Notre Dame was going to jump out into a blowout victory, but West Jessamine scrapping their way back into it and still clawing their way in here in the fourth set, down 18-13. Notre Dame, though, starting to pull away. This is Coach Bird's last time out. What's the discussion, Coach?
I think you just got to refocus. You know, refocus your thought, go back to your hustle, and become that scrappy team again. When West Jessamine is scrappy, it takes Notre Dame out of their system, and when they're scrappy, then they're making them make those unforced errors, which allows West Jessamine to, you know, earn some points and make some runs, and then, you know, like I said, it's forcing Notre Dame to make those unforced errors, with West Jessamine's being able to make some runs.
And for Notre Dame's side, I'm sure the message from Coach McDermott is simply finish.
Yes.
They've gone over that enough today.
Absolutely.
Carlisle skips it over the net, and that gets us started here out of the timeout. Bentley, sweet move. Finding the teardrop there, flipping it into the donut for the score. That was a perfect play to catch West Jessamine off guard.
Yes, and that's, that's only her second attempt today. So it was nice, a perfect timing for that.
A little long, out of bounds, and there's the service error on Carlisle. We'll see Nolan step back in for Carlisle.
And both teams have a lot of errors today. Notre Dame has 9 service errors and West Jessamine 6.
That's the type of stuff that if you're either one of these teams moving on tonight, you're going to have to clean that up in the next couple hours.
Absolutely.
As we saw Mercy in that first game, unreal how locked in they were. They had a third set versus Henry Clay that was more competitive, but that was due to how well Henry Clay played. It was not due to errors created by Mercy. Off the antenna from Bentley, point to West Jessamine. Again, clawing their way into it. Down 4. Bentley plays it back to Grace. Skipped over to Long. Finds its way down the line, off deflection. Point Notre Dame. And Long again. Unloading with the right arm. Now some noise from the Notre Dame faithful. 5 points away from a win and a berth into the state finals. Powers. That's her shot.
That is her shot. She goes back to her bread and butter down that line. And again, we saw that a lot in the first and second set. It's nice to see her go back to that.
West Jessamine needing an answer. Powers down the line again. In it is.
If I'm Coach Bird, I'd pull my libero back just a little bit. She's a little shallow, and I'd move her back right at that color change and dig, let her try to dig that line shot, make her tip one.
Sent long by Bentley, and some life given back to West Jessamine. They get the point and service their way. Jadavka will go. The star of the team will get a chance to serve. Shepard, it bounces off the top and comes back down. Literally coming off the top of the railings up high.
Yes.
Runs back down. It was still in play.
Yeah, she could have she overran that a little bit, but again, you can't
really judge for the ceiling.
Not at all.
23-16, Notre Dame trying to get to set point. Powers rolls it over. Collins gives it back. Prince into the net.
Point, Notre Dame.
And here we are at set point.
Match point, Notre Dame.
Long trying to book Notre Dame into a spot tonight. Soft drop over on the serve. Gives it forward to Bentley. Back to Powers. And that will do it. Notre Dame, after a struggle, finds their way into the state finals.
Notre Dame wins 3 sets to 1. Stay tuned for post-game announcements.
You look back at this match and how it went out, you have to give incredible credit to West Jessamine. Went through, found a way to pull out a set, which didn't seem possible at all. I mean, you look through the first set, it's a 25-9 game, and it really wasn't that close in the first set. Notre Dame rolled. Second set, fell asleep for a minute, but still won by 10. Third set, everybody thought they were just going to roll over and move out of the way, but Bill Bird should be incredibly proud of that young team he's got. I know he's going to lose some star players on that squad, especially Ava Gadovka. I should say not multiple, the main star. Gadovka is going to go away, but they have tons of talent for the future.
Absolutely. He has a great group coming back, and what an experience and what an opportunity for these girls to experience this and then roll into, develop for the future. And what a great senior leader in Anna Gadava, and you just hope that that program continues, and Bill Bird has done such a great job. And what a great season for West Jessamine, and you wish them the best of luck in the future.
The way that team looks, they'll be back.
Yeah.
They've got the fight and the determination. I don't know how Coach Bird builds his program day to day. Obviously, he's had a ton of success, but he has certainly instilled a work ethic over there that is really second to none in some of the teams I've seen throughout the KHSA. Notre Dame finds their way through. We got a chance here for a second, Coach. Championship game tonight, 7:30. Notre Dame versus Mercy. What do you expect?
I think you're going to see a really good match. I think you got some great setups. I think you've got two defensive players that are going to go at it. I think you've got two great setters, some great height, two undersized outsides that are great athletes that are going to go at it and depth at the net. So I think it's going to be a great matchup.
For Coach Jennifer Morgan, I'm Clay Abels saying so long here from George Rogers Clark. We'll be back tonight at 7:30 with the call Mercy versus Notre Dame live at George Rogers Clark High School. We'll have it here on the NFHS Network. KHSA Volleyball. We'll see you tonight at 7:30.